So I'm going to start with you guys. First of all, I'm recording, just letting you guys know ahead of time. So, again, I'll send you guys a copy of this. I have your email, I think, so I'll just directly send it to you, and you can give it to whoever you want. But I'm here with Brandon Riggs, and I'm sorry, you're...
Andrew Herza
of Thunder Lion Studios, who are the developers of Marball, which is a mobile game that can be found in the Google Play Store, right, guys?
Yes, Google Play Store.
And now, is that on iOS as well, or just the Google Store for now?
So we are looking to release on the iOS. The problem is we do not have a Macintosh, and Apple requires that you do the build on the Macintosh. Otherwise, we would have it on the iOS right now.
Sure.
So we're trying to find someone who has a Mac. If not, we're looking at doing a cloud build from Unity, which may cost us a little bit of money. So we just gotta have the resources. Our resources pretty much got tapped just doing this convention itself.
Right.
So
as it will.
So far, it looks like it's worth it, though.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys have had a good turnout, which is real good news.
Yeah, we've got amazing feedback, both positive and negative, which, why we go to these conventions.
Yeah, for both, right? Yeah, it's good.
Especially with early releases. When we prototype something, we think it's fun. That's the point that we like to take it out to the public, because then we get that early feedback on, is this worth moving forward?
Right.
That way we're not wasting our time and wasting our money building something that no one's going to be interested in.
So it's more of a, should we pursue this, or kind of cut our losses and move on type situation?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you guys are with Thunder Lion Studios. So can you just kind of tell me a little bit about Thunder Lion Studios and how that all started, kind of where that all came from? Was there a single idea here, or was it more...
If you want to track it all the way to the beginning, it was actually back when we were in college.
Okay.
So we were going for a digital entertainment and game design degree from ITT, which local ones unfortunately shut down now due to some other stuff that's happened with it. But that's neither here nor there. So basically, part of what we were doing in college was we'd just break up into groups and do just these quick little games there. And... So first one went through, basically kind of like about pretty much the entire class chipped in on that one there. So that was okay-ish. Then the next time it came up, we broke into smaller groups, and it was actually basically just 1 to maybe 3-person teams. And Brandon and I teamed up together here because he came up with an idea on the board to work with. Okay. And it actually sounded like the most interesting of the ones on there. And I was basically the only dedicated programmer that was in the class. It was mostly geared towards artists. So I decided, okay, I'll go ahead, I'll help out with this. I think I can work with this here. And then as it turned out, we actually work really well together. Okay. We've got very complementary styles of thinking and planning. And we can just go for hours just bouncing ideas off of each other. And then when it actually comes to development, and once we actually get... Lately, it's been a little bit hard to get a good flow going, but once we actually do manage to get that flow going, we can just keep it going pretty much all day long there.
Yeah. So you got the coder here, right? Yeah. So kind of a smart pick, really, right?
I was actually very lucky about that. With the event he was talking about right on the whiteboard, the instructor was like, okay, you're going to come up with a unique idea that's going to take you through your whole entire bachelor's. If I say green light this, it will go. And I wrote down the idea, and basically it was a turn-based strategy game with first-person shooter aspects. The first words the instructor said is, I've seen companies try it, and it fails every time. But I like to be challenged. I like people to be challenged. I like this idea. Who's interested in joining him on this? I greenlight this. Like he said, he was the only programmer. He said, I'll take him, and I hear the rest of the graphics artists go, ah! And I was happy because, like Andrew said, we work really good together. Sure, yeah. He's very strong in the code. I'm very weak in the code. I understand code, but you want me to code something very advanced, it's going to blow up in your face. Whereas I'm very strong in the art side. Right. He can 3D model. He can texture. It's not what he normally does.
So you guys have complementary skill sets as well.
And then the way we think. Yeah. I'm very creative thinker with a little bit of a logic side to it. He's very logical with a little bit of creative side.
Sure.
And so we, like they always say, you want your business partner to be somewhat like you, but a major opposite so that they see the other side.
Right.
Yeah, so basically we speak enough of each other's languages that we can actually communicate.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right. So where's Thunderland located? Are you guys in Washington or Oregon?
Beaverton.
Beaverton, Oregon. Okay, good.
Out
So you
of
guys
our
are pretty local, yeah. We're out on the other side of town, actually, towards the Fairview, Troutdale, Gresham area. So, yeah, good to know. Good to know you guys are local. So, what inspires you guys? Like, what inspires a Thunderland game, or how does that process begin? Obviously, I know that when you guys were in college, there were ideas that were kind of on the board. But what about now? How does that work now?
So there's several things that sort of happened. The way Marbles Maze Adventure came about was we were actually at a Unity PDX event for move your character with physics without code. And I wanted to go to that because I'm not a big coder. Andrew decided to join along, and I came up with this idea of, well, wait a second, instead of moving the character, why don't we move the world to get the character to move? And that's where I used the ball. And I was like, wait, this is like the little maze games that we did. And then we built a prototype in like 2 hours.
Right.
And so we're like, okay, this is really quick. We can do this quick, simple, and easy. And then I did a search on the Google Play Store and saw that there's like 20 of them and downloaded all of them. Like, what can we do that's going to be different? And only a handful of those were actual full-out mazes.
Okay.
And then most of those were just get to start to finish or get to this object and done. And I was like, well, what we can do different is let's place objects that you have to get outside that start to finish area, so you're not just figuring out that path, but you're figuring out multiple paths.
Okay.
And that's how we came about that. Our philosophy is we don't follow trends. We want to create trends that other companies will follow.
Right. So, I know you mentioned that you had a prototype in about 2 hours set up for it.
Yes.
All in all, from start to finish to where we're at today anyway. I know that it's always an ongoing process, especially in today's day and age where there's patches and all that kind of stuff that goes into creating games anymore. But up till today's date, how long was your development process for Marble?
I'd say actual man hours spent, we're probably looking at 1 or 2 months worth on there. Actual calendar time spent, we're closer to about a year and a half or so.
A little bit over a year.
Yeah.
About like a year and a month.
Yeah. So this wasn't a full-time...
Yeah, no, I've got full-time work to actually keep the lights on, keep the roof over our heads, sort of thing.
Exactly. Okay, good. So you'd mentioned that obviously this game is a Unity-based game. So when working with the Unity engine, you mentioned that you were creating a character that you didn't have to use controls to create, but basically we're using... for instance, this is a mobile game, so it's using like the gyroscope feature on your cell phone. Does that require any type of, I guess, advanced programming, different programming, or less? How does that work?
As far as raw amounts of code go, it's probably actually about the same amount of code going either direction with it there. It is a little bit more fiddly because the way the gyroscopes are aligned, it takes a good amount of work to actually wrap your head around it on there, because it's not just as straightforward as if you're just using it as a basic character controller, like what actually, like Unity comes with some scripts preloaded for it. It's like offset by like, so it's like half a twist this way and then a twist that way there. And so, like, it seems to like it's designed so if you're actually holding the phone vertically, that's actually where it's meant to use the gyro off of.
Okay.
But we've got it horizontally because you're looking down at it just like it's one of the classic style games. And just that one simple offset required basically about a day or two worth of work just to get all the rotations lined up correctly so it could actually go. So when you tilt it this way, the ball doesn't go off that way.
Right. I don't know that I've ever talked to anybody about. We don't cover a lot of mobile games. And B, one that actually utilizes the gyroscope is not something that's very common anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even in the past, not really that common. But it's an interesting take on what you're doing. You know what I mean? I think that's an interesting thing to do. And the mobile is the only platform I think that you could probably get away with something like that. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, it's really unique, So
I definitely don't want to use the gyro for anything accurate though, because it will.
Yeah.
Even when you just have it stable on a table like this here, you're still going to see the meters just flickering all over the place.
Yeah. So as opposed to other engines, why did you guys choose Unity? Because this was what the project was initially, or?
So we actually really enjoy using Unity, and the reason being is when we build in Unity, we can test it out right then and there without having to prop to build. So it's immediate feedback. The other reason that we like Unity is when Andrew codes something, he can make it so that instead of having to go back into the code and change some numbers like hit points or speed of something moving or how much damage something does, he can code it to where in Unity there's a little sidebar interface where I can go in and go, oh, there's the hit points. Let me change that number without adjusting the code at all, which saves a lot of time, meaning that he can be working on that harder code and I can be doing the fine-tuning, or someone else in the team can do the fine-tuning.
Right. So it enables you to go in and kind of fiddle with the settings without having to upset the apple cart, as it were, right?
Exactly.
So that makes sense. Okay. So did you guys run... Now, I know that you mentioned that you guys have worked on some other projects in the past. This is the first actual complete, I guess, if you will, like the initial debut development of Thunderlion. Is that correct?
That is correct. Basically, like I said, this came about through an event I was at. We were originally working on another mobile game that we call Marpingo, which is a mix between miniature golf and pinball.
Okay.
And that's in like mid-alpha stages. We got this idea and we decided to just sort of change avenues because we knew we could do Marble Maze a lot quicker.
Right.
With a lot of effort. So when Marpingo comes out, you're going to see the same art feel because a lot of that art was sort of pulled and adjusted and tweaked for Marble Maze Adventure, just for a quicker turnaround.
Gotcha.
And because Marble is in Marble Maze Adventure, but he's also your guide and commentator in Marpingo.
Okay.
So the two are really interlocked, and that's where it was like, you know what, the art style should also be the same.
So it kind of matches in that regard.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So now, are you guys considering, obviously now that this is launched, are you considering your next project and getting involved with anything else other than maybe a mobile platform, or is this kind of what you're sticking to?
We've got basically just a stack of game ideas that we've come up with over the last few years. We've got them mostly ordered in kind of priority, and essentially, it's one part of it is, okay, what are the ones that we want to do most? Like, what game, like, if we were actually going to be playing these games here, which game would we want to see come to market first? And so that's one side of it. But then the other side of it is, okay, then what can we actually do with the team that we have available? Because we've got some really big plans. I mean, everyone's got the MMO that they want to make.
Right.
Every single game developer I've talked to, they've got an MMO, they've got an RPG, something grand, big scale. They've got a team of one or two. That's not going to happen in a reasonable time on there unless you decide, okay, I can afford to take like a 2-year vacation and dedicate myself to just this.
Right.
When you're working part-time, when you've got a small team, you really need to be able to just focus down, keep something nice, simple, bite-sized, still fun, obviously.
Right.
But then build off of that. And then, if you get enough of those smaller ones that are working, and if you're able to get income off of those, then, okay, now you can go ahead. You can hire an animator. You can hire voice actors and musicians. And then you can just kind of bootstrap yourself up until you get to the really good stuff. But you gotta start small first.
Right. Small bites, right?
I mean, we do have a PC game that we want to release. That turn-based strategy game with first-person shooter aspects.
Right.
That got great reviews on just being able to merge those two genres together and feeling very, very well. That the instructor was just amazed. And we decided that we wanted to originally make that our first project.
Okay.
And we had a 6-man team working on it part-time. And we thought, okay, that is feasible. Problem is that the other 4 people were not dedicated like me and Andrew are. They were just like, oh, I'd like to do this, but I'm not really going to work a full-time job and then work on this on the side. They'd rather play video games on the side instead of working on a game. Where me and Andrew, we find working on these games very, very fun.
Right.
And so our goal is, after we get Marpingo out, is we really want to use that money from that game that we get, and hopefully this one, to fund the PC game that we want to build. Gotcha. And actually get that out. Because we tried Kickstarter, but the graphics quality wasn't quite there. Even though we mentioned it on Kickstarter, it was the first thing we stated. Everyone mentioned in the comments, the graphics quality is bad, therefore I'm not going to back this.
Right.
So we're going different avenues to get to that goal. And then, like Andrew said, we got other bigger, grander games that we're looking at. I think we have like a lifetime worth of work already.
Yeah, I mean, just from the two of us, and then when we expand it out, it's okay. Welcome to the team. What's your game? What do you want to actually have us build here? It's kind of the idea. It's kind of more of a collective rather than just a straightforward company where. And we want everyone to be involved. We want everyone to basically feel that they own part of the company.
Sure. So, as of today, what's next for Thunderlion? Do we have a definitive pick?
So, there's two things going on with Thunderlion. One of them is the Marpingo mobile game, which that's going to come out already with microtransactions in it, of being able to buy different looking marbles, different looking shooters that shoot the marbles, things like that. That will allow us to really sort of start bringing in money at that point. Another thing that we're doing is the reason why we didn't go another direction with the name of the company. We said studios. We wanted to leave ourselves open-ended. I'm taking part of my time and I'm actually making a board game. And an actual physical board game that's a mix between a board game, a collectible card game, and a pen and paper role-playing game.
Okay.
And I'm going to be testing that out just like we do with all of our other games. Seeing if that's possible, and then rolling that out.
Okay.
And so we're just, the reason we call it studios instead of games is because, if we come up with an idea that we think is really good, that would be good as a 3D animated short or a movie, it allows us to move that direction.
Gotcha.
We move wherever is best for us at the time that our team can handle.
Gotcha.
So we're always adjusting and always flowing in the directions. We don't want to do big uphill bouts. We're big on work smart, not hard.
Right. Sure. So, is there any other projects or plugs that you guys want to mention before we wrap it up here?
I mean, for instance, what we've got on deck here. So we've got Marbal's Maze Adventure that's going out now, and things go well. See about getting some more levels for that, getting that hooked up to be able new levels, new themes, good stuff like that there. Then Marpingo, obviously, that's next on deck. That's basically going to be my next focus after seeing where we go with this one. But then long run, the turn-based game that we've been talking about here, Keep Wars, we've actually got it greenlit for Steam. We just need to get to a point where it's actually worth showing to the public again.
Awesome.
Yeah, we don't want to show a crappy game. We're not, when we look at something, we want to be proud of what we released. We want it to be that people look at the game and go, wow, that looks nice. Wow, that plays nice. This is a complete game.
Right.
I'm old school where it's, nowadays you can release a game, there can be some bugs, and then you can patch later. I'm old school of let's try and make it as polished as possible, as if there wasn't an option to download a patch.
Sure. Right. We want to make sure that we're not doing the Mass Effect, if you will.
Yes.
Is that a term, the Mass Effect? It should be. Should be an actual term.
Apparently now it is.
Right. So before we go, where can people find you guys at? Or do you have a website or anything?
We have a website. It's www.thunderlionstudio.com. We are also on Facebook. Just do a search for Thunderlion Studio.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you guys for your time, and we appreciate you stopping by to visit and talk. We look forward to hearing more from you guys in the future, and especially learning today that you're kind of in our neck of the woods. It's good to know. So,
thank you for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate
thanks.
it.
It was
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks.
All right, guys. I will be sending a copy of this to you.